Number 6, Oregon went into Husky Stadium knowing that it needed to beat rival Washington to keep its position in the college football playoff, and it was able to do just that, leaving Seattle with a 26-14 win over the Huskies to finish the season 11-1. But when you look at this game from Washington's perspective, there were really two significant plays that altered the outcome in favor of the Ducks. One was in the first quarter, and the other was in the final 8 minutes of the game. The first of which was Damon Williams' interception in the first quarter just outside of the red zone on first down. Williams had Denzel Boston one-on-one with a linebacker on a route to the front end of the end zone, and he made the throw, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad decision since Boston had the clear advantage in coverage. But Williams did not see Oregon safety Jadon Canady ranging to his left. He was able to come over and help coverage, make an impressive full extension interception to end the Huskies' drive. On that play, Williams had Raiden Vinesbright open in the check down spot, but he went for the touchdown, and he discussed that thought process after the game.
Yeah, try to run a double move. I thought the safety got held up, and he made a good play on the ball, break into it, but I saw Denzel one-on-one with a linebacker. But in those situations, I have to know where my check down is at and continue to just move forward, continue moving the ball forward.
Jedd Fisch agreed with Williams after the game, saying that throw is going to be made more often than not, especially against the matchup mismatch that he had with Boston. But Fisch also saw Vinesbright open underneath and talked about his perspective of the play after the game.
I thought that we missed some checkdowns, the interception. We had Raiden sitting right there that we could just pop it to and then not throw the one-on-one there. But the safety made a good play. I think 10 out of 10 times that ball's going to get thrown. 9 out of 10 times. When you have Denzel and a linebacker one-on-one, you're going to throw that. Safety did a great job recovering.
And Oregon's second game-defining play was, of course, its 64-yard touchdown pass with under 8 minutes to play in the game. The pass from Dante Moore to wide receiver Malik Benson essentially sealed the game. But prior to this touchdown play, Washington had all the momentum. It had just scored on a 13-yard Denzel Boston touchdown reception to cut the Oregon lead to just 19-14, and the defense returned to the field that had just forced 3 and out on the last Oregon possession and held the Ducks to field goals on each of their other 2 second-half drives. And again on this drive, the Husky defense forced 3rd and long. It was 3rd and 9 to be exact. It was about to get off the field for its second straight 3 and out. The stadium was rocking. It had all the momentum, and a stop here would have given the Huskies a football with a chance to go win the game. But Dante Moore's connection over the middle with wide receiver Malik Benson allowed him to use his speed to cut through the middle of that Husky defense and put this game away. So when you look at those two plays, Washington was essentially in the red zone when it threw that interception, and a touchdown there would have given the Huskies a 7-3 lead, but instead it was an interception that led to a touchdown drive for the Ducks, who extended their lead to 10-0. And then Oregon's long touchdown play in the fourth quarter on 3rd and 9 eliminated the possibility of the Husky offense returning to the field down just 5 points with all the momentum to potentially take a late game lead. Instead, Washington never held a lead on Saturday. But one of the areas that this Ryan Walters defense excelled on Saturday was in its run defense. I think it was the best performance in that category all season. Oregon entered this game ranked inside the top 10 in terms of rushing offense, averaging nearly 230 rush yards per game and 6.2 yards per attempt. But Washington's defense held it to just 106 rushing yards on 42 attempts. That was Oregon's lowest yards per carry output of the season at 2.5, and it was their second lowest rushing yardage total of the season. Noah Whittington was the team's leader in rushing against Washington, but he finished with just 47 yards on 17 attempts. That's an average of just 2.8 yards per carry. And for comparison, he finished 2025 with an average of nearly 7 yards per attempt. His threat was completely eliminated on Saturday. And much of that success is credited to Washington's strong front seven and its use of safeties up in the box against the run. True freshman safety Rylon Dillard-Allen earned his 3rd career start in this game, and he played the most snaps of his career with 74. 32 of those snaps he lined up at safety, while 27 he lined up in the box, protecting the run. The remaining snaps he spread throughout the defensive formation, and he was effective, finishing with a team-high 11 tackles and 2 tackles for loss. Zach Durfee, Zadrius Rainey-Saleh, and Dylan Robinson each recorded a tackle for loss, as well as the team finished with 6 total tackles for loss in the game and 28 stops, according to Pro Football Focus. And this Husky defense was on the field a lot. Oregon had a 10-minute time of possession advantage at the end of this game, and this is what Zach Durfee had to say about that with regard to how they were able to continue to play at a high level while being on the field so much on Saturday.
We're just doing what we do. We practice really hard, and that shows up in the games. I think you turn on the tape, you'll see elite defense week in and week out. So, yeah.
And this play shows what Oregon's run game looked like for a lot of the afternoon on Saturday. Little to no room at the point of attack. It had just one explosive run of 10 or more yards. It was a fourth down option play that ultimately set up the Ducks' first touchdown of the game. And on the other side of the ball, Washington running back Jonah Coleman walked off the field inside Husky Stadium for the final time on Saturday, and it was a passing of the torch game of sorts in the backfield. Coleman started, but Mohammed led the team in carries and did significant damage as a runner. The true sophomore running back carried the football 14 times for 105 yards, averaging 7.5 yards per touch. That made it his second straight 100-yard rushing game. And I felt that Mohammed should have had more carries in this game, somewhere in the low 20s rather than just 14. He was creating chunk plays. He had 3 runs of 14 or more yards, including a 22-yard rush. And Washington's run game was highly successful throughout the day, averaging nearly 5 yards per carry against the Ducks. And this is Jedd Fisch talking about Mohammed's production in this game.
No, it's running harder as much as it's running with more confidence. I think the more you run the football, the more you play, the more confidence you gain. And Adam has had 2 100-yard rushing weeks in a row. He had 3 touchdowns in his first ever start. And he's taken on the role of being the guy. And he's kind of transitioned into that role where he now knows, just like Jonah transitioned into it a year ago or a year and a half ago, when you're now the guy that we're going to lean on. And I thought that he ran exceptionally well today.
Washington was playing from behind all afternoon, so it had to go to the passing game quite a bit, but it just wasn't there for Damon Williams. He did finish the game with 2 touchdown passes to Boston, but he ended up just 15 of 30 for 129 yards, those 2 touchdown passes and 2 picks. Dillon Thieneman had the second of those 2 interceptions. The Duck safety was all over the field with 7 total tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss in addition to the pick, and his performance was not surprising given his history in the Big Ten. Thieneman played for Ryan Walters' Purdue Boilermakers in 2023 and 2024, and he led the team in tackles each of those 2 seasons with 100 plus each time. And I was able to capture the 2 of them meeting up after the game at midfield. The Duck defense also had 6 tackles for loss in this game, and that effort was led by linebacker Teitum Tuioti. He finished with 2 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 2 quarterback hurries, and a pass breakup in addition to the 5 tackles. The Oregon defense was in the face of Damon Williams all afternoon. They recorded 25 quarterback pressures according to Pro Football Focus, finishing with those 6 tackles for loss and 4 sacks. Ohio State beat Michigan before Washington's game kicked off against Oregon, and that combined with Indiana's win over Purdue on Friday eliminated Oregon from reaching the Big Ten title game, but still the Ducks finished the season 11-1 and will likely host a college football playoff game in December. And Washington finishes year 2 under Jedd Fisch at 8-4, with 3 of those losses to 3 of the top teams in the Big Ten Conference, Ohio State, Michigan, and Oregon. It also suffered that upset loss on the road in Madison early November. Now listen to some of what Jedd Fisch had to say after the final game of the regular season.
First of all, just want to acknowledge our seniors. We had about 23 guys, I think, walk today, and couldn't be prouder of them, the way they handled themselves. A lot of them have been with, me and our staff for 4 years, from the time that we recruited them in high school at a different school in 2022. We're a part of changing the entire culture. I really changed it twice. I want to appreciate the guys that stayed here when we arrived and bought into what we were trying to get done and have become team leaders and captains. I appreciate the guys that just transferred in here this year and were a part of a good season. And I was proud of those guys and appreciate those guys as well. Also appreciate all the young players that we played today. And they'll continue to shine. There's no doubt about it. They're just getting better and better and better. And as we continue to build the program the way we want it, our program will continue to elevate. Oregon's a good football team. Coach Lanning does a great job. So, it was not a surprise. There was going to be a very good football game today, very physical. 2 teams that were competing at a very high level, running football, trying to run the football. I thought that there was just a few plays in the game that were difference makers for us that just didn't go our way. We had some momentum on 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line in the first half, and ball didn't go our way. We threw an interception there, and then had momentum 19-14 on 3rd and 9, and thought we had a great opportunity for a stop, get the ball back, and hopefully take the lead. And they hit a 64-yard touchdown there. So there's just a couple plays here and there, unfortunately, that were game-changing. But I thought our players competed as well as anybody. We got to coach better, and we got to continue to improve as players. But we had a lot of good things ahead of us.